The trip to the wonders of the Port Honduras Marine Reserve started at its southern point, about a mile off the coast of Punta Gorda town, in an area known for its fishing, which attracts tourists from all over the world. Dennis Garbott makes his living off the sea through catch and release fishing, fly fishing, sport fishing in the Marine Reserve. Gill nets have been banned in that particular area, which allows it to thrive. The area was declared a Marine Reserve in 2000, and Garbott accredits that with saving the area from the threat of overfishing.
I used to see the area with a lot more fish, a lot more activity happening as it relates to going out there and getting marine product. I grew up as a fisherman, and we used to come fish, go and get our fish and take it to Punta Gorda, to the market and things like that, to make a living. But one of the things that changed my family from doing commercial fishing is the fact that there's too much fishermen out there, and the fishing pressure have always been increased. I saw gill net being introduced, which caused some major devastation to the fish population, especially like snook and mackerel and that type of thing. And that pressure was coming more from our people from the people in Guatemala.
I think the amount of fish right now is difficult more than a couple years ago. A couple years ago, you don't have to come way out here to catch fish. But now, sometimes you have to go way to the river to catch fish.
Abalone Key is a ranger station in the Port Honduras Marine Reserve, managed by the Toledo Institute for Development and Environment. Its southern point is 1 mile outside Punta Gorda town, and it goes all the way north to Monkey River, encompassing 160 square miles, including about 130 mangrove islands. Those islands are an ideal habitat for marine species, and the waters are also prime fishing grounds for fishermen. We've seen those gill nets set down in Belizean waters, but not by Belizean fisher folk, by Guatemalans.
One of the major problems we had here in Port Honduras is that we have guys coming from Guatemala. I mean, the nearest town, Puerto Barros, Livingston, it's like 45-minute boat ride from Puerto Barros and Livingston to here. The problem was that some of these guys, they obtained their fisher folk licenses. They live in Guatemala, right? And the problem was that they would come into Port Honduras and they would fish during the day, and in the evening they would go back. They sell the product in Guatemala. It didn't benefit the country, none at all. They were just extracting, right? But back in 2011, Tide piloted a program which is called the Managed Access Program, in which they joined up with Glover's Reef, and what this license has done is screened out the guys that come from Guatemala.
That, of course, gave rise to the problem of illegal fishing by Guatemalans. But since January, the Rangers started doing patrols with the Belize Coast Guard. The illegal fishermen never used to respect the Rangers, so the presence of armed forces has been somewhat of a deterrent. But then there is a threat of offshore drilling. So far, just a threat and not a reality.
I always say I wouldn't want it to do like what happened in Peru and Mexico and so happened to Belize, so I don't agree with it, but my community do. They want oil exploration, but I don't. So I believe Belize is small, and if we have a high oil spill or whatever it is, that would be the end of our fishing industry.
Port Honduras Marine Reserve is an excellent nursery habitat for important commercial marine species such as some finfish, lobster, conch, sea cucumber. And these communities are old communities that have been here and living off these resources. And so anything that will impact the resources here will impact these communities, and that's key for us. For me, they are the owners of these resources, and they should have a say in terms of what goes on here. And oil exploration can definitely have some negative impacts that will threaten the livelihoods of these communities.
And those stakeholders depend on this area, perhaps not as publicized as other protected zones, for their very survival, from fishing to tourism.
Okay, we are blessed to be in the center of the reserve. We're in the center because it goes farther to Monkey River and it goes farther to Punta Gorda. So we are like the meat for the sandwich. And we are getting some benefit, not what we expected or what we should have gotten, but our women today they now have a little kitchen where they serve food, and so as tourists pass by, as visitors pass by, we could get them, and the ladies make some money. Then as a tour guide, I will take out visitors, and the other guys will take them out as well.
Well, I think we had the great opportunity to share the fact that the Port Honduras Marine Reserve is a breadbasket for many, for fishers, commercial fishers, for recreational fishers, sports fishers, tour guides, and so it is a very valuable marine reserve for our stakeholders. That's how they make a living, and it's important for them to continue to make a living from the Port Honduras Marine Reserve. There was, and perhaps there still is, an oil concession that includes the Port Honduras Marine Reserve, the Paynes Creek National Park, and also private protected lands that are managed by Tide, along with other protected areas within the Toledo district. I believe that, well, I'm hoping that that's no longer a threat.
And perhaps it isn't, since there has been no evidence of seismic testing or any of the myriad activities that preface drilling. But Tide and the stakeholders of the Port Honduras Marine Reserve are ever vigilant and ever protective of the natural bounty of the reserve.